All right, we are going live. All right, we are live, y'all. We are live. All right.
We're live. We're live. We're live.
All right, what's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to another session of the Kava podcast. You guys already know who I am. My name is Will. I'm the host of this show. Everybody that's tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in for this live show tonight. Everybody out there that's always showing me love and support. Much love to all my supporters out there. Real quick, before we start the show, we know we have some great guests for you guys tonight on this panel. Please take the time real quick and like and subscribe to my channel real quick. Show some love and support. Trying to hit my goal of 10K this year. You guys already know I'm always trying to manifest my goals, but I can't do it without you guys. So all everybody out there always supporting my content. Love you guys. And thank you for jumping on real quick. Don't forget, if you guys are watching this for the very first time, don't forget this is a live show. So you guys are all free to have a conversation. I'm always trying to promote dialogue with you guys. So definitely drop some comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are about all the things we're going to discuss. And also, you guys can also be part of this show. You guys are able to jump on the Zoom and have a conversation with us. So I encourage that for you guys. That's what makes great dialogue. All right. So don't forget, if you want to find out what that Zoom link is, if you don't know, just go to my Instagram page, Twitter, Facebook, or my YouTube. Go to my post. I already posted all the links right there. So if you want to join the conversation, so it's just FYI, don't forget, if you do jump on, as long as you're respectable, I'll let you be able to speak your truth and be able to share your thoughts with us. But as long as you can put your cross, if you don't respect the panel, respect the guests, and respect my platform, I have to kick your ass out. All right, don't forget. So much love to you guys. Don't forget, we do have the super chats every single live show. All my supporters out there always show me some love and support my show. Donate to me financially. So don't forget, if you guys want to drop some donations towards my show, thank you so much for dropping a super chat. Don't forget, we have a great panel of guests tonight. So you guys are able to have a conversation with these fellas and also be able to ask them questions, and they'll be able to reciprocate that and give you feedback on the questions you ask. So if you have a specific question, if you have a specific topic that you guys want to ask us directly, ask it through a super chat donation, and we'll be able to respond to it live to you guys during the live show, and we'll be able to talk about it and reciprocate all the love and donation you guys give me. And you guys already know all donations can be reinvested back into my content and going towards my podcast studio one day. So much love to you guys. But nevertheless, we are going to start the show. We already 8 minutes into it. Let's get right into it. And don't forget, FYI, this is some real content. It's going to be a lot of triggering. We're going to trigger a lot of people tonight. That's the goal. That's the goal. We're going to trigger a lot of people tonight. So don't forget. So fellas, real quick, I'm very humble. I'm very grateful to be able to have these guests on my show. These are all fellas that are content creators and they're Pacific Islanders and guys I follow and also respect as well. So I'm just want to say thank you so much to all these guys for being on my show for tonight. Much love to you guys. Really appreciate it. But fellas, if you go ahead and real quick, and you guys can just give everybody a quick synopsis, introduction of who you are, what do you do, so that way people get some context of who you are if people don't know who you are. So go ahead. I'll start off with Henry. You can go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Okay. My name is Henry, aka Savage Island, Pacific Islander. I am first generation born American, indigenous to the island of Tonga by way of Aba'u. My mom comes from Neafu. My dad comes from Halafuri. And, for me, being on this podcast, specifically on these topics we're about to speak on, it's really important to me because we don't have enough representation, and representation matters. So if I see someone who looks like me, talks like me, comes from where I come from, and give the information I'm looking for, then that's who I want to gravitate towards. So I take my role serious. I do believe myself to be a leader in whatever, if it's mind, body, or spirit. And, you can follow me on TikTok, on Instagram. And, I'm really just glad to be here with you gentlemen. And hopefully I can do a good job, if not enlightening anybody, then to learn. So thank you.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Savage. Always battle ready. Savage, always battle ready. That's why I love Savage. I love Vito Toko. We appreciate you. Thank you for jumping on. Xiaoxi, go ahead, man. Introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, awesome. My name is Xiaoxi Weimao. I was born in Tonga. At the age of 11, my father moved us here to the United States, where I lived in Northern California. I met my wife at 13, married her at 23, and it's like 28 years later. I was a private investigator for 12 years of my life and discovered that I didn't like being a private investigator because I wasn't involved in my kid's life. I then, in 2012, I sailed across the South Pacific with the Te Mana Te Moana, which was a passage. It was 7 canoes that traveled from New Zealand to Tahiti to to Hawaii to here to California. And then we traveled back to Fiji, to Samoa, all throughout Polynesia. And I did that for 8 months. I owned a Ramana Fit. I founded Ramana Fitness and also took on opening up a dance group with my wife, Ida. And it's been phenomenal. And for the last 7 years, I took on self-development and it's been beautiful. So I have a stand, and my stand for people is that they're free from their old ways of being and the way that they've been raised. And that people get to discover who they are in an authentic way so that they can then begin living a new life. And that's my stand for people.
All right. Thank you so much, Yossi. And for all the fellas out there, hit me up on Instagram to ask me if those pictures were photoshopped. As you can see, fellas, that's real right there.
Well, let me just kind of say what I was telling you guys earlier. You have to be 50 to live this good.
Oh, yo,
you have to be 50.
Oh, wow. God tucky. Take it easy. We just started the show.
Hey, man, this is just the beginning of the show. It's just the beginning.
Hey, ladies, if you want a different show, wait till the after the night.
Whoa. That's a different show.
All right, man. Malo Celsius, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for jumping on. And last but not least, the reason why all the females watch my show.
The man, the legend. Yeah. The sexiest of them all. William.
Go ahead, William. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, well, I'm Will Fanene, and I teach Samoan language online. I'm what they consider Afkasi or Totorua, half Black, half Samoan. And just basically my goal online is just to bring people to the Samoan culture. You know, a lot of people feel disenfranchised, you know, just growing up. A lot of them are full Samoans, you know, half Samoans, just whatever. If you connect with the Samoan culture, that's really who I'm trying to reach. And then also just trying to educate people who don't even know what Samoan is. Like I live in Southern Illinois. There's a few Samoans around here. You know, there's one big Samoan family. We're not big, but they're famous. They're like an NFL family. But other than that, there's really not that many Samoans around here. So I just like to educate people on who Samoans are, what they do. People, Pacifica, you know, whether it be Tongan, Fijian, or whoever, you know, these people around here don't know. So just my goal online is, even when it doesn't look like it, I'm trying to educate people about the people of you know, the Pacific Islands. So that's basically all I'm trying to do. So I try to make products and I teach online. And other than that, that's just all I do all day.
All right, my man. Thank you so much, Liamu. Will, one of my followers asked a question. Do you do one-on-one personal tutorials? You know,
no, only because well, I have other businesses too, so I was doing that, but it takes a lot of time, so I can't do that anymore.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much. Much love to you guys. But let's get right to it. Fellas. The topic at hand today is are Polynesian boys being raised right to become good men? All right. And, you know, that's one of the things I always get a lot, especially from the feedback I get from a lot of people that watch my channel, is a lot of these guys are asking me questions about manhood, masculinity, what it takes to be a man. And actually, the reason why we even got to this topic was a video that Will posted. A lot of you guys already know I do a relationship podcast on the weekends when I have conversation with females and we talk about relationships and modern day dating. And I always talk about alpha and beta. You know, certain personality traits that, you know, women tend to be sexually attracted to. And I know Will posted a video on his thoughts about alpha and beta and how a lot of guys are being hurt and they use that alpha mentality to the extreme where they want to dominate women and mistreat women and suppress women and not build relationships. But for me, I speak on it on a very, just on an intersectional dynamic perspective. There's certain traits that men and women are looking for, especially when it comes to the alpha, the confident, ambitious, assertive, the leader, there's certain traits that both men and women look for. And that's what I speak on. But there's a lot of, like I said, but Viamo did make a good point, and I'm glad you guys are here because we're all physical honors, we're all men, we all living our own purpose, our own journey to life, we're all doing our own things. You guys have families. So there's a lot of young men out there, they're looking for answers, especially the Pacific Islander men that follow my channel and they follow me. They're always asking questions about masculinity, manhood, and these are questions that, you guys, we're all Pacific Islanders out here. We don't really have great open communication with our parents. So a lot of times, a lot of these guys, they're trying to figure out how to be a man by themselves, especially in this modern day world, which I have noticed in modern America because of feminism, because of the society, the breakdown of gender. They're kind of like, what I see personally is like they're like dehumanizing men for being men. So that's what I see. So there's a lot of guys who are confused about what should I do to be a man, whether if it's gonna be what society thinks, what the family thinks. So I think this is a great topic for us that we can talk about it. And I guess the first discussion we're going to talk about is the alpha beta. What are your thoughts on the alpha beta, right? The traits that's something I always speak on is like, I think it is important for a man to understand the certain traits that's going to be beneficial for you, not only as a man, not only in life, but also when it comes to attracting the opposite sex as well. Because one of the things, especially alpha, the personality type is like ambitious, confident, assertive, be a leader. I think for a man, it is important to be ambitious, to have goals, to be confident, right? Because as men, we have to bring value to this world to be considered something in society for, also for to be able to attract the opposite sex. If you're a bum, if you're lazy, if you're not doing shit with your life as a guy, society not gonna value. Most females won't value. That's just the reality of being a man, right? Is that we have to bring value to this world. So it is important to understand the dynamics and the traits that you should act on and work on as a man to improve, to become the best version of yourself. But there's a lot of guys out there just being lazy, being, not ambitious, have no goals in life, doing nothing, wasting their life. But they don't understand that that's their decisions and what they're doing is the very reason why they're struggling as a man. But I think it's important to open this discussion for you guys. So that's the topic of discussion I'm gonna open up for you guys. Like, what are your thoughts about the alpha beta? Personally, on your experience, were there certain traits that has worked for you, that you worked on for yourself? Because I can tell all you guys are confident. I can tell all you guys are ambitious. There's a reason why you guys are doing well in life, right? There's a reason why you guys live the life you have. There's nothing called coincidence. Success is not luck. It's work ethic. It's good decision making. It's putting sacrifice and time. So you have to work for certain things, right? So there's a reason why you guys are all becoming the men you guys become. But there's a lot of men don't understand that mentality, right? So I want to ask you guys is, what are your thoughts about the alpha beta? What are the certain things that you guys work on, the certain traits that you had to work on? And also, when you were growing up, did you guys realize growing up that when you guys were young, okay, when you guys weren't as confident as you guys were today, when you guys weren't as ambitious, when you guys weren't as assertive, did you realize that, the certain traits that you guys had wasn't working? And then you realized you had to make a change, and that's why you guys got to where you guys today. So that's the conversation. And also talk about your experience of attracting women as well. What traits did you work on to be sexually attracted to the opposite sex? So I'm just gonna open that topic to you guys. The alpha beta, traits. What do you work? Things that improve our lives as men, and what young men should be working on that can help them be beneficial for their life if they want to have a great life. So I'll start it off with the guy that why we had this conversation. Why we So I'll start it off with you. What are your thoughts about the alpha beta discussion and the traits that what men should be working on to become the best version of themselves?
Well, so first of all, for me, the way that I understand a whole alpha beta talk, alpha beta is that's a strategy to get to the overall goal. Whatever your goal is, to me, your goal is just take care of business. Maybe your strategy is to, like me, I don't consider myself like I'm a rah-rah guy out in the front. I hang back, I just do what I do, and then I know what my goals are. I know how to set goals. I know how to make objectives for those goals. I know how to make a strategy to meet my objectives, to make my goal. So I don't have to be, all out there like all aggressive and all of that. That's the way that I understand the alpha and beta conversation. So to me, maybe I'm not an alpha, how they define it. To me, that stuff only really works when you're trying, just like you were saying, like how to attract a female. I don't worry about none of that. I work on me. So when I work on me, then, I have things that I'm not even, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not worried about that. It comes to you. That's what my dad taught me. You work on you, everything will come to you. You just work on you. So when I hear like the whole alpha beta thing, the way, at least the way that it's presented, it's like, it's a trending talk. That's how I look at it. And then you have people like the Kevin Samuels, like I guess he would be like the father of it right now. So, and then the way that he presents it, it pushes a lot of people away. So to me, it's like, and this goes deeper into the conversation, but I guess just to stay at the question that you asked, you just work on yourself as a man. You work on yourself. You treat everybody the way you want to be treated, but you make your goals. You make your goal, you make your objectives, and then whatever your strategy is, you don't have to be like, okay, well, they said I'm supposed to be an alpha. I'm supposed to just do this and do that. No, whatever your personality trait is, you use your personality to finesse and get whatever, to reach your goal. No, not manipulate people. You use yourself to reach where you are. Everybody, I have a kid, he's very ambitious. He's very, man, he sees something, he's like, man, I gotta get that. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And then I have another one, he's real laid back. He's very creative, he's not as, rah-rah as my first kid. But my last kid is like, but he still gets it. So they both get what they want, but you have to, as a parent, I'm telling you, you have to teach them certain, see what their qualities are and then expound on their qualities. But if I tell my youngest, my second kid and say, you gotta be like Noah, Noah's rah-rah, that don't work for him, So maybe he's better as a beta, My older son, he's an alpha, So I don't like to use those kind of terms because it's more like whatever works. Use your qualities, and then that's how you get what you want. But it's never I'm trying to attract this and I'm trying to attract that. You just work on you and what you want, and those things will come to you. So that's my whole thing on alpha beta, but I can get deeper into it if you want to. But
no worries. And we'll come back to you, Will. But I would say this, Will. What are traits? What are your strongest traits that has worked for you? Because there's a lot of guys out there watching right now, and they're looking for answers, right? And I know working on yourself. Can you be more specific? Like, what's specific traits that you realize for yourself? Like, this is things I know I lack as a man. And if I don't work on this, I'm not gonna get to where I'm not gonna achieve my goals, because it's you guys all know this, like goals, like it's the process. It's like it's not about the goals, who you become in the process as a man. So for you, like, what were the traits or things that you worked on, realized that you were lacking as a man, and then once you worked on those certain traits or qualities, then things started to improve? Like, if you had to like name your top traits about yourself that you realize that you're pretty good at.
Right. Just the main thing is don't worry about how other people are doing. So I grew up in Northern California. And well, not grew up. I was a military kid basically, so I moved around a lot. But my base was Fort Ore. There's Monterey area, California. So it's seaside and marina and all of that. And so a lot of my family, they were kind of into like whatever was going on in the area. And a lot of times it was a blood stuff, there was a Crip stuff. I didn't worry about any of that, But then until I started hanging around them, and it was like, oh, now I'm worried about what they're thinking. And it's like you get sucked into that lifestyle, and you're getting in trouble and you don't want to, and you're trying. Once I figured out, man, this is not doing anything for me. Let me focus on myself. And it's really not, there's no rocket science to it. It's separating yourself and focusing on you. So, and I was already like that anyway, but then I think where I veered off was where I started worrying about what other people thought about me. And as soon as I did that, everything went bad. got arrested, got in trouble, got, shipped here, shipped there. Once I got rid of all of that and went back to the way that my father taught me, then I was good, I still got my challenges or whatever, but just stay focused on you. Everything else will come. So.
All right, no worries. Yeah, just real quick, one of the things I did read up on when I was just looking at psychology terms, alpha is tend to be a male that's disagreeable, that is willing to not follow what everybody else is doing, and just be able to stick to what he believes in. That's typically what the alpha is. So yeah, I think that means you're an alpha.
Whether I like it or not.
All right. Yeah. So same thing, same question. I'm gonna pass it to Chelsea. So Chelsea, same thing. Like, what are your thoughts about the alpha beta discussion, and the traits that based on your experience, like the certain traits that work for you to help you become the man you are today. For all the men out there that's watching. Oh, you're on mute. Chelsea, you're on mute.
First of all, it's a beautiful conversation, but I want to get back to the source of what, for myself.
Yeah.
And the way that we're brought up in the islands is definitely alpha. It just is. The way that we're brought up, how poor we are, determines who we get to be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And when we leave the islands and come back here, and it just, this place here gives us a bigger and a better opportunity to take on what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it doesn't matter. What we learn is what we learn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we simply take it on. And I have it in a way of being, an alpha way of being it's beautiful. And a lot of our people are turning into jails and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. Only because they're one tough son of a guns. And I have it as the most beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. That we are a trained savage. We're trained to be alphas. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we can do to transform that is we have created these men that are ongoing and developing themselves to become beasts in the world.
Yeah.
As an alpha. Mm-hmm. What do we do with them? Right?
Yeah.
Because in here in the States, what we do is we raise good children, and then when they grow up to be men, we then try to build them as alphas, as beasts.
Yeah.
And that's why the way we are. We're already beasts as we come into the world. The way we're raised up, we're determined to be beasts because that's the way that we're taught. Mm-hmm. Imagine that every single one of us get that we're already beasts within, up here and here. Mm-hmm. And now we get to manage being that beast and learn to be civilized. Mm-hmm. Because the beast is always going to be there. Imagine that. So we have it in our conversation, what you mentioned earlier, that there is a wrong way and right way to live. Mm-hmm. You want to consider that word, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you have to be a certain way, then there's a right and a wrong. We want to walk away with the conversation that there is two types of people that we're trying to look at. We're trying to find the right people to go that way and the wrong people to go that way. Mm-hmm. What if we just got all the beasts together and we taught them the way you got here is the way that you're brought up. And there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. And then we can go back and let's see how you got here because of this certain thing that you learned from your parents, from your grandparents, from your uncle, and dissect that part of it so they can truly have an understanding why they are the way that they are. That's the most important part, right? Because we already categorize every single person that's out there in jail as nothing.
Yeah.
You got that?
Yeah.
And that's what we all do with it. Every human being says one person that's in jail and we go, we're done with him. Mm-hmm. And that's where we human beings stop us from growing. Like that's a humanity, that's very human. That's a human condition that we already sit there and judge every single person. And that's another way of that's still an alpha way of being, that you get to sit there and judge. Mm-hmm. What if you took yourself back and say that human being is going through what he's going through in life? What if we can teach him how he got there and how we can reverse that to become different in life?
Yeah.
Right. So I go back. It's always been about the beginning. Go back to the source. Teach them where they came from. teach them where things happen and move and how they wound up being. So they can see for themselves that they don't have to be the way they wound up being. You get the difference? We all wind up a certain way. So then it wound up that way. Savage wound up his way. Willie, you wound up a certain way.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, you don't have to be the way that you wound up being, but you have to go back to your source. Find yourself, where is it in life, and who taught you to be the way that you are? And do you want to stay the way that you are? Because you have a choice.
Yeah.
You have a choice, and that choice is yours. And the part to teach is that we all have a choice. That we're all human beings, because if I can't see you as a human being, if I can't see every single person around me as a human being, then there's no transformation in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as we're sitting there pointing finger, that guy is this, that guy is this, that woman is this, that woman is this, we no longer see human beings.
Okay.
You get that? We are no longer human beings. And we're divided. This world is divided. We Polynesians are divided because we don't know where we come from.
So I would say is so the kids that say they didn't grow up with the culture, that didn't grow up with the ethnic background, like how would they navigate through that, right? Because I think all of us, we did grow up with that culture. Like how would they?
Yeah.
If they grew up with
I go back to what Fernando was talking about. Really, I mean, this is a part where it's all about self-development. You discovering for yourself how you wind up being, and undo the things that's been taught to you. Okay. And for an individual, discover what has people stop and what has people move forward. It's a self-discovery thing. It's not something that you just get pounding into people's head.
Mm-hmm.
It's a self-reflection. How did I get to be this way? For me, the biggest part of the way that I was is that I never understood why I didn't want to cry. Right?
Yeah,
why I didn't want to shed tears. Why that I had to pound my chest constantly when I'm feeling angry.
Yeah.
What I discovered for myself is that ever since I've grown up, like I was taught, men don't cry.
Yeah.
Men don't cry. Like we don't share our feelings. Men don't share feelings. And that's part of the things that has shaped me to be that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Not sharing what's truly going on here. And that's why majority of people that are walking around have the fight within them, because they can't express things that they truly want to express.
Mm-hmm.
You got that?
Yeah.
And it's that for me. Being vulnerable for me was the biggest thing that I had to learn for myself. It's taken me 7 years of looking in my life, where in life did I stop myself from being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized is for myself, when I was 19, my father had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
It was that moment when my father passed away that I said I'm no longer going to cry. And I blamed everybody else but myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm at 50, and I'm just now discovering what it means to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we're taught, vulnerability for men is weak, right?
Yeah, it's weakness.
What I'm saying now, if I were to learn early in my life that vulnerability is king and vulnerability is queen. Right? Those are the small, that's one small thing that we can take a look at ourselves for men.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about you and the vulnerability? What is it that you think that you have to keep everything in?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's one trait that I had to learn for myself, is allow me to be with my emotions. Not get hijacked by my emotions, but just be with it, acknowledge that it's there and move forward.
Yeah.
Right? But it goes back, I like what William Fernandez said, is it's all about self-discovery, or going back to, you got to go work on self. Because you can't lead with the thought that with the things that you're taught. Because you limit yourself to what you're taught. Your discovery of who you are and what's possible is everything.
Mm-hmm.
You got that? All the stuff that you learn in school is very limited. It only takes you a certain height. Mm-hmm. But in the world of self-discovery, you can go beyond that.
Yeah, I love what thing Xiaoxi said, is like you said that to discover yourself, you have to unlearn what everybody else told you what you need to be and just be yourself, right? So
Right.
pretty much what we're saying, because we're all islanders out here. Like, you know, you guys all know islanders, we are very traditional, we're very religious. There's certain things that's been ingrained in us, been taught to us ever since a child. And a lot of times, this mental conditioning, we never challenge these things, right? We never challenge anything we know. But if you're a man out there and you work on your purpose and you go, you know, you realize for yourself that you have to figure out your own answers for yourself. So one thing I would ask you, Chelsea, what were certain things that was taught to you that was the expectation of what a man should be that you had to unlearn? You mentioned one of them, a man can't cry, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the thing is, you can be a man, you can be a man and still be vulnerable. That's one of the things. A lot of guys, a lot of the young men out there, they think that if you're vulnerable, if you cry, you're a bitch, you're weak, you're a pussy. So the thing is, for you, like, you can still be a man and still be vulnerable, right?
Right.
So you found that balance. But can you take a step further? What other things that you had to unlearn?
So I had to unlearn for myself. You know, you're talking about the tongue and ways. You know, brothers are one room and sisters on the other room, and you can't mix the two.
Mm-hmm.
In the way that I was brought up, boys cannot walk into the girls' room and none of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was growing up, it was the same thing. Like, I could not step foot into my sister's room, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And what I found for myself, that I never had connection with my sister. Like, I had no connection. There was no interaction other than hi and bye and bye.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids are 26 and 24 at this moment. And what I was fighting for myself is, how can I let go of what I've been taught so that my kids can grow up differently, that they can have a connection? Because the way that I was taught, I have it is all come from men's insecurities about who they are and what they've done in the past to whoever that is, right? Given that is part of the culture, and that culture comes from somewhere, I can only say it came from somebody's experience. That if you put a boy and a girl together, something's going to happen. So I constantly have to fight that and allow my kids to be kids, allow my son and my daughter to really have an awesome relationship.
Okay.
Right. That's one thing that I had to fight. And it took me 26 years. It's still, my daughter is 26, my son is 24, and I'm still having to fight those old thoughts that have been taught to me. The other example is, you know, I also have a 10-year-old that I put him up on Instagram once in a while, and my brother texts me, "Why don't you smack the shit out of that kid?" My response to him, I'm like, "No, that was handed to me every single time. When I did get what I want, what I got is a smack, the belt, the hose, everything else, right?" And I didn't want to do that to my son. But while I'm trying to discipline myself to undo what I've been taught in the past, it was killing me up here.
Yeah.
Because I have it that my ancestors are all behind me, and they're stabbing me. Like, why are you letting this happen in this new world? Why are we keeping our tradition? The being physical with our kids. Why are you doing that? Why aren't you disciplining him to make sure that they know, that they know that we're king, right? So that they know that we're it, that we're king. Because, sorry.
You're good.
So that they know the king. I'm also giving an example. I was going through some stuff with my 24-year-old, and I had it that in my mind that I needed to break his knees. My son was yelling at me. And at that moment, there was a trigger for me. Like, all of the noises came from the background of my head. It's like, take a 4x4, break your son's knee so he knows who the man is. You got that?
Yeah.
So that he knows who the man is. And I am king, and you are my son, and you will obey me. And in that moment, I had to find myself. I had to look beyond myself to find the strength at this moment that my son gets to be self-expressed, and that my sons get to grow up differently and not have what has done to me before in his future. That I get to be the chain that I get to break right here at this moment. My son and I have a beautiful relationship. because I chose that I do not want to repeat all the things that has been done to me. And that it can only happen when I want to work on self. Like William said, work on self, which means you're going to have to take on some new program to face yourself, face the things that you're going through in life, have a conversation about what you're dealing with so you can understand for yourself what you made it mean and what other alternatives that you can have. Look into the future of possibilities. And only then that you can have a transformed life.
I love what you said, Chelsea. You said that I did not want to repeat the things that happened to me. And man, there's much respect for you that you broke the cycle, right? The generational cycles. And we all know there's cycles that happen, or traumas or things that happen in our community. And one of the feedback I always get from a lot of the Polynesian women that follow me is their complaints about their husbands being abusive, violent, anger issues, aggressive. And to me personally, a lot of that because as men, because we've been taught to be alphas, we don't know how to manage our emotions.
Yeah.
Right. That you can cry, you can be vulnerable, you can express, you can have dialogue, right? You can have dialogue with people. If you as Pacific Islanders, the way we deal with conflict is physical, right? But when you master yourself, like you said, when you master yourself, you realize you don't all conflicts. You can deal with it with your mindset, right? And then again, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. By the way, Chelsea. But real quick, I do want to give a shout out real quick to Underground Roads to give us a super chat. Much love to you. Much love to you. Thank you very much for your financial donation for $2.99. Thank you so much for your donations, Underground Roads. Thank you so much. I see the live chat is kind of popping right now. A lot of you guys are sending you guys your feedback. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts. We're having some deep combos right here. We're going all the way deep, y'all. All the way to the deep of the ocean tonight. There's no going back.
No going back.
No going back. But let me know your thoughts. Also, don't forget, a lot of these fellas are dropping truth right here. So don't forget, if you guys want to jump on and be part of this conversation, if you're a young man out there and want to jump on, want to ask these guys directly, if these are the things that you guys experience in your life as well. And like this, I invite you to be on here and express yourself on here. So all you guys out there, if you guys want to jump on. But yeah, thank you so much, Chelsea. I really appreciate that. But yeah, we're gonna move on to Savage. Same question, you guys. Same question for you, Savage. The alpha beta discussion, and what are your experiences, especially when it comes to traits as a man that kind of helped you become who you are today?
Well, first, definitely peace and honor to the ancestors who've come before us, and I want to thank you gentlemen for allowing me to get on here and join the likes of you guys, because your perspective not only means a lot to me, but I don't take myself too serious sometimes, only out of the fact that I really don't believe anybody hears me for when I say it. The fact that you asked me to be on here, I hope that anything I say, that you guys understand, it comes from my heart. I'm not trying to clout chase. Everything you'll get from me is authentic. So with that being said, the concept of the alpha and the beta, I'm gonna give you the three phases of myself. So how I understand it, if we were truly back then in the times in which this would matter, there'd be a lot of dead men and women. Mm-hmm. If there was a real alpha, that motherfucker would probably kill a lot of us. Mm-hmm. The alpha was Arnold Schwarzenegger. The alpha was Jake the Muss. The alpha was, the biggest, the toughest guy in the room, who could sleep with the most women, have the most kids, have the most money, the biggest house on the biggest hill. And I wasn't aware at the time when I was following the mold, when I was following models in the neighborhoods, that the alpha was misled, the alpha was misinformed. The alpha was creating a model for the rest of us young men to follow and die in. And nobody wanted to break the lineage. Nobody wanted to say, hey, there's something wrong with this. There's something wrong with the format, because these guys ain't living too long. Their families ain't too happy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even at the beta himself, like just thinking back then, how I would look at my uncles, my cousins, I have half cousins, I have full cousins, I have cousins from different mothers, cousins from different fathers. And, this was alpha shit. This is, hey man, bro, we're gonna we're gonna go to the Phi Kava and we're gonna do our thing. And next thing you know, I walk in and my uncle's with another woman and I don't understand the concept, but everybody's cheering them on. Yeah, all right. Woo, woo. And although I'm thinking it's cool, my auntie's in the room crying. You know what I'm saying? The kids are misunderstanding the situation that, well, dad's just doing what dads do. We're normal. And then it becomes okay. So then I come into play and I grow up in a generation where, let me now go do what alphas do. I'm going to sleep with this girl, that girl. I'm not going to get a job. I'm going to tell people what to do. I'm going to, hopefully shoot for the moon and hope for the best and, leave a trail of broken hearts while I'm at it. And, I learned towards my 20s that what sucked about it was I caused more harm to myself than anything. Because now I'm 32 years old and all the stupid shit I was doing that I thought alphas were supposed to do, I'm now regretting in the sense that it's hurting me now. But I have a daughter now. And I have to expect the same thing, that if there's an alpha out there who wants to do alpha shit, my daughter is in the firing sights of an alpha. Oh yeah, weren't you an alpha back in the day? Hey, old man, I got the game too. And it's a scary thing. Xiaoxi said it too, is you don't cry. And if you cry, you're a bitch. Cry at any point. I don't care if your father died. I don't care if your brothers aren't there for you. I don't care. If you cry for 1 second, for 1 minute, anybody, we're pulling your man card. You are a man if you cry. So shut the hell up and suck it up. Then we have things like mental health, depression. We have to take medication because we can't regulate our emotions. And it sucks. I would rather rather die than let you know how I really. I don't want to in front of my friends. Just know I love you. I'm saying this is normalized. Definitely very normalized. I'd say was born in 88, 90s, coming into the 2000s. I mean, still today, there are kids who actually believe if you cry, you're a bitch. I work in the school district out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the one thing that's weird for me to see is that Pacific Island kids or any other kids from any culture agreed upon that you're not a man, and should you tell your feelings you're not a man, and you should drugs and alcohol so that if you do have emotions, internalize them. And what happens when you internalize them is it builds and it builds and it builds, and like a time bomb, it explodes. Whether somebody wants to unalive themselves or don't beat the crap out of the body, it never ends well when the alpha puts himself in. How the resolution that I'm looking for myself is, well, who's the alpha now? What does the alpha do these days? So I admit, babe, I'm wrong. I fucked up. I didn't mean to do that. In front of my friends acting that way. Could you please forgive me? That's alpha shit to me now. Alpha shit is like, guys, I can't come out tonight. My daughter got school tomorrow, and I have to go and see that. Alpha shit is, son, it's okay. It's okay if you're crying. Daddy's fucked up many times in his life. And, I'm probably going to fuck up more times in the future. But just know this, if I don't give up, I'm pretty sure I'll succeed one day. That's alpha shit to me. And, there may not be many people who agree with that, and that's totally fine. At the end of the day, behind this face paint, behind these eyes, behind this skin, behind the blood and the vessels and the bones, still beats a spirit of a man who's just trying to make ends meet for their family, provide, protect, teach while I can, while I'm here on this plane of existence. And I don't ever want it to be misconstrued that if anything ever came out of my mouth, that the true character of a man is not what you're doing in front of everybody. You're doing away from everybody when it does it. Are you taking care of your wife? Are you taking care of your kids? Are you taking care of your mental health? Are you working out? Are you eating, taking care of your nutrition? Are you trying to live a longer life for your kids so that when it's time for you to leave, they have everything they've ever learned from you and that they can use in their life? Every day I think about the alpha. I think, what is my son learning from me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to lie. My son wouldn't be gay if I was doing the shit that I would believe to do, that I as a man would think I'm doing as a man. My son will see the example that I am setting and follow the example. And if he's gay, that's either my lack of presence being there, or how would I say, me just not giving a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that, being gay is wrong or being gay is bad or it's an evil thing, but I really believe that, if a boy should be gay, I believe it's the lack of presence of a man in the home. If you don't see me be a man and my lack of presence is there and you grow up with your mother, there's nothing wrong with you taking on, feminine attributes or anything like that. But should you miss entirely for 20 years the presence of a man, well, fuck the alpha and the beta, you just go the other way then. And, the reason why I bring that up is that it's no longer about being alpha anymore, beta anymore, because if you fuck up being an alpha or beta, you might as well be gay. You know what I'm saying? So that controversy, and I understand that, but I say that from the truest of my heart, is that there's so many things to worry about in this life. There's so many things to attack as far as points and things to make. But in my true definition of the alpha or the beta, it goes back to what Will said. It's taking care of yourself. It's worrying about what you can do. It's worrying about, the things you can implement, you can change, the things you can control. If I tell these guys, hey, I'm the alpha here, and anybody who disputes that, I'll fuck you up. That's not alpha shit. That's you trying to fulfill your ego, trying to feed your ego. It's mostly the traditions is one thing, but if I don't have connection to going into the room with my sisters or anything like that, it's only how would I say? It's only set you up for failure. As long as I've grown up with my sisters, I'll be honest, I didn't really get to know my sisters until we left the house. And so things like this now come into play when I think about, being an alpha, have these conversations. Is like, to me, the alpha is someone who's happy, who's in content with who they are, and they're doing the right things. That's really what the alpha is to me. I'm not worried about the beta. I'm not worried about any terminology or label that comes after that, because if I'm really doing alpha shit, I'm doing things the right way that I'm supposed to. So,
okay,
that's about.
No, man, yeah. Hey, thank you for sharing that, Savage. And no, I think I love one point you said that, because I know in society they have this like stereotypical perception of what an alpha is. It's supposed to be this like aggressive, dominating, tyrannical type of man out there just smashing holes and that's what that's what the alpha is. But a lot of you made a great point. Like, you can be alpha, like you can be alpha and you can be vulnerable. You can be alpha and you can be humble, right? You can be alpha and be very reserved and preserved. Like, you don't always have to be this outgoing personality. So I think that's one of the things that the misconfusions, because I think, like Will said, right? There's just like they have a label, and then if alpha means this, and if you're not this, that means you're a beta, right? So I think and that's a great point. Also your point to your opinion about the guy, young boys being gay because of lack of male presence. That's interesting for me, because I do see a correlation where a lot of gay boys were raised around in like female households, right? A lot of females around, so there wasn't a lot. I mean, based on the gay people I know personally, I do realize that like there's a lot of them were raised in a household that wasn't male perspective. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
I think that's something like you're gonna have to really take a look, right? Because you go back to the islands, like it is what it is. Like whether the father is there, it's not a matter of it's not a matter of lack of support for being a father. It is what it is. If we can just see, it's genetics, right? We all come out as a female first. But you really want to take a look at the way that you're describing what gay is, right? Because you and I cannot control whether somebody grows up like in Samoa when you're Fafifini, or you act like a lady. You have no control over that. There's just a tendency of acting like a woman, right? So we really want to take a look in the way that you're setting that up, because I have in the way that you're setting it up that there's something wrong with that. And I say that because I have friends that are the way that they are is the way that they are. So I get to accept them for who they are and who they're not, right? But if we're constantly painting this picture that just because I'm not there as a father, that doesn't mean that a man is going to either turn gay or turn straight. We have nothing to do with that. Their DNA determines that, right? So we've been taught in the past that this is the way it is. Like people, people do what they do, but at the end of the day, like we ourselves only have control what we can do. Right? So I want to make sure that we leave this format here, making sure that we leave men in Filipinas or Fariti, in that they're okay with the way that they are. Once we get to make somebody wrong who they are, then this starts. Right? So we want to be mindful of this conversation. I'm going to be responsible because I'm here. And I want to say that to all of my gay people out there, that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Whether it's their choice or the way that they wind up being. Right? And I don't want to feel that kind of fire. Because I go back, I love human beings. When you can love a human being for who they are, who they're not, now we see each other as brothers and sisters. The way that we're taught back the islands, that you turn this way because I was in this. Right? As a 50-year-old, I'm responsible for the way that I communicate and allow other people around me to communicate and about their communication. And that's where true power comes in. When you can love somebody for who they are, regardless of how shitty they appear to you, we're all still human beings. We're still Polynesians, right? And the blood that runs through our vein is the blood that runs through our vein. But when you can get that I love you the way I love you, and I love you for who you are and who you're not, now we have something to work on.
Okay.
Now we have something to work on.
All right, no worries. Hey, thank you for sharing that, Chelsea. Will, do you want to respond to anything that we just discussed? Anything you want to add to it? Oh, you're mute. Go mute. Will, you're mute.
Well, I was just saying, not really. Only because I have gay cousins. I had some gay uncles and aunties, and it's in terms of the guys. There were men around. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand that. So I don't have any feedback about or any kind of input because I'm not that. So I don't know how they got to be that. If you're born that way and you say that, then that's hey, I believe you. I don't know. So
yeah.
But because like I said, I have the father was there. Maybe I don't know, intricately, like maybe he wasn't there every day or didn't teach them the way, I don't know. I have no idea how that is. I just know I like women, and if a man likes a man, then that, or woman likes a woman, like I don't understand how that. So I never speak on that because I don't know anything about it.
Okay, no worries. And then Savage, do you want to respond to Chelsea for what he said? I see, because these guys have different opinions, but it's good dialogue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was speaking from experience. Like I said, anything I'll say, it'll be authentic, and I mean it, and I will never.
Yep.
But as far as my perspective of what I was thinking, yeah, my sister's gay, my cousin's gay, I have a gay uncle. It's the same. I understand the role of whether it's the Fafinge or the Mahu, the Fakaleiti. Yes, it has existed in culture, but I was highlighting as far as growing up in America, the lack of the male presence here.
Got you.
So, I mean, it wasn't to degrade or to put down anybody, but as far as being here and noticing that could be one thing, it could be genetic. I don't know. I don't do the proper studies. In just my own time and my own lifestyle, that I'll be honest, there were guys I went to school with, and I had no idea. And when it came, like, well, I could see why that, and it doesn't bother me so much as this is how I've seen it here. Now, obviously, if I go back to Tonga, if I live in Tonga or Samoa, it's open. It's it's so it's not that much of an issue to me. But I was just speaking as far as from experience, seeing if there's a lack of male presence there, then the male tendencies is no longer there for the boy to pick up. And it had nothing to do with sexuality, because I understand that a kid is not going to understand their gay. So I totally understand that later on based on their experiences. But yeah, no, I respect what Xiaoxi said, and I definitely I understand how that could be taken wrong and brought out of context. So, you know, if that was on me, I do apologize. What I was speaking on was growing up here in America and seeing that as far as experience.
All right, no worries. Thank you guys for sharing. And Savage, I'm looking at the chats. You triggered some people.
Yes, that's what it's all about. Welcome.
So yeah, if you triggered, hey, if you Savage on the chat right now, if you want to say something, to say on the chat, or you can jump on. But yeah, we'll move on to the next topic, fellas. So as I was listening when you guys were conversing, the next question I want to ask you guys, because you know a lot of the things you guys, you know, we were talking about defining alpha, right? You can be strong and still be vulnerable, right? So I do want to ask you this is a question I had received from a lot of men, right? Because a lot of men are trying to figure out what a man should be, right? And I know Savage, you have a son, right? All right, and then South, I know you have a son, and then
two.
yeah, and then William, I know you have daughters, or you have a son as well. Your son. Okay, so the one thing I would say is, and coming from my own experience, you know, of course we can be vulnerable, but I do realize as men there are certain traits that may not be beneficial for us if we want to become men, right? Real men. So a lot of you guys mentioned like vulnerability, right? It's okay to be vulnerable, but as a man, there is something called too much vulnerability. If you're too soft, if you're too emotional, right? That can deter you from your purpose. That may not help you, and you're able to make decisive decisions for yourself to be successful. So there's certain things. I think it's about balance, but I think it's important for men to hear, hey, because I know one of the things that Salsi mentioned, right? It's okay to be who you are, which I get, right? You can be yourself, but I also understand that a lot of people take that to the extreme, to the point where they can be anything and not realize there are consequences to who you become, especially if you want to become a man, right? So if you're a man out there and you're soft, always emotional, always in your feelings, and then you don't know how to control that, you know, a lot of people might say, hey, it's okay to be that, but for me, I'll be like, nah, man, you gotta man the hell up and learn how to control your feelings and stop being soft, because that's not gonna help you long term, especially if you want to go into this real world. But if you want to be successful, you want to be ambitious, you want to have a goal, people are gonna hate on you, people are gonna haters, doubters, and you have to be able to block that out mentally. So it's important as a man to know how to be emotional and vulnerable, but you have to also learn how to control that as well and not be affected to the outside talk. So the question to ask you fellas is, what are certain things as a man that we can't be? We can't be. You can't, and I want to get to that. It's gonna be very controversial right now, but I want for all the guys out there, because like I believe like it's okay to be vulnerable, but don't be too soft and be a bitch, right? Don't gossip and talk, walk your walk, don't talk, right? Don't talk about your feelings. That's just me, but I do realize like in this society where everything's acceptable, everything is okay to be who you are. But I live in the real world, and there's a certain way you have to be in order to a certain result. And that's the question I want to ask you guys. And I'll start with Guillermo. You have as well. So like, what are things you teach your son, certain traits that you have to learn how to control, and you can't let this. If you want to be a man, you can't be this way.
Well, first of all, emotional. So a lot of times, a man, guys have in their mind being emotional is like, being, you react out in a feminine way to, the way women would act out. That's not the only way you can be emotional. You can be emotional by walking around with a gun and doing all of this, and and somebody say something and you're trigger happy, or that's emotional. If you're playing football and you made a bad play in the first quarter and you're still tripping off the bad play in the fourth quarter, that's emotional. You got to sit your ass down. Nobody wants to deal with that. So you have to understand that's you see emotion. If you only see emotion, like that's how a woman's gonna deal with it. You're still emotional. You just do it in a different way, and you still got to go sit your ass down. Either way it goes, you're being emotional. So that's I forgot what the question is, because this is near and dear to my heart. I used to tell my son all the time. I was like, you're a great athlete, but you messed up a long time ago. Like two downs ago. Get over it. It's over. Now it's a new down. They're gonna sit you down if you keep pouting about what you did, 2 downs ago. And then, so it's a fourth quarter. Dude, you're still tripping off of the first quarter. You have, you know, I don't want to sound like a coach, but it's like, you know, you have to get over it. But the first thing you have to do is recognize that you're being emotional. And like you said, you're being a bitch. Just stop that. You know, if you know, if that's how I have to say it, so you can understand, you know, we can be as men emotional too. You just have to recognize that that is emotion. That's how a lot of people end up in prison and in jail, and you know, or broke, or you sign papers, and you know, in an emotional way. There's a lot of ways to be emotional that doesn't look emotional to most guys. So you have to recognize that, and once you recognize that, you'll get a lot further in life. And not thinking with your emotions and going off of, you know, your mind. That's a big you know, that's a big discipline. If you're able to think with your mind over your emotions, and I think you even say that. What do you say? Facts over feelings. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So there you go with your facts over feelings.
So I have it. This is how we're constantly burying kids' feeling, right? So there's a distinction from, there's a few ways of being. There's a state of being emotional. There's a state of state of emotion. There's a state of memories. Right? There's a several state of being, but if you can categorize every single one of them, like being an emotion, you are not your emotion, right? Emotion is part of who you are, and this is the part that needs to be taught. Yes, you do have emotions, but you are not your emotions. If you can teach that to every kid so they can understand that they are not your emotions, like I am not my action. Teach your kids that they are not the emotions, that they can actually take their emotion, put them in their pocket, and save them from later so they can deal with what's in front of them. You get that? And that goes back, we're all in the world of, in the world that you're talking about, is in the world of performance. In order to perform, your feelings has nothing to do with it. And that's not being pointed out. In the world of performance, another word, in the world of surviving, what we have to get and understand that we all live in the world of surviving, whether in any kind of world. We're always living in the world of surviving, which is, I have it, it's either empowered or pretty shitty. But if you don't teach your kids the distinction that you are not your emotions, that you can actually be okay with having emotions, and you can really deal with what's in front of you at that time. At that moment, you can say, you can put that away for now, and then we'll talk about it later. But for right now, is we're in the world of performance. I need you to go out and perform. See, it's how they receive it. It's how the children receive the information that's coming out of your mouth that has them be and act a certain way. Right? It's not like, don't be a little bitch. What they get from there is, I need to be the same way that my father is. I want to be just like my father. My father's teaching me not to be a little bitch. And what we've done in that moment is we're teaching him exactly what we were taught. You're teaching them what you were taught. And that goes to it's a vicious, now becomes a vicious circle of life. And when they teach their children, it's the same thing. We have to be mindful of what we say to the next generation, because the next generation will become leaders in the future. So take the time to make sure that our kids truly know what the world of performance and what it takes to perform, and also that they get to be in tune with who they are and the feelings that they do have, because it does matter. I was taught that my feelings didn't matter. My kids, my son, my daughter, my two sons, my daughter, their thoughts and their feelings matter. But as long as I say, you are not it, you're not your feelings, you can never then go back and live life powerfully. Powerfully. See, we're the only one that has the ability to teach that to our kids. But if we have it, if we keep throwing that word out, you're a bitch, 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 bitch. What you're teaching them at the moment is that's how I speak to the next generation. And that goes back, we're being the same, teaching the same BS over and over again. We want to be mindful of what comes out of our mouth, because what comes out of my mouth is power.
Yeah.
Your true leadership comes out in your mouth, then your actions, right? But if we eliminate certain words that we're saying in front of our kids, your kids will get only that language. If we speak empowerment words in their life, that's all they know. So I go back to, do you want to teach what you're taught, or do you want to empower them in a way that it makes a difference for who they are and who they get to be in the next 10 to 15 years, and who they will become for you and me, and for this, our community, in the world in the next several years. You see, I have it that it's not about who we are, but who we get to empower for the next generation, in the next generation, to become those leaders. And our empowerment only comes out in what word that we get to use in the moment when it matters to the next generation. And your kids, and my kids are that.
It's also, I love what he says. He says that, like, you know, as emotions, we have to learn how to control that in order to be able to, especially when it comes to the performance part, right? If you want to perform well, you can't be emotional. So I would go back to example. You know, I want to ask you is because I know performance, of course, you guys know you can't be emotional when you perform. You got to be very stoic and be able to learn to, you know, be able to stay focused. All right. But I want to ask you, like, to me, if you want to be a man, like, you can't be emotional, right? And especially in today's modern society, you know, if we say these things, you know, the feminists will be like, oh, toxic masculinity, or, you know, if we telling guys not to be emotional, right, to be stoic. But let me ask you, Viamo, like when you're teaching your son to be a man, like, do you tell him, hey, you know, if you want to be a man, because I do believe in biological differences between men and women. You know, women, they can be, that's why they act the way they act, because they're the emotional, that's in their nature to be emotional. But for men, that's not within our nature. That's why it's so important for us to be very stoic, because, you know, that need that presence, the masculine, stoic presence in the family, to be the rock of the family, not only also at work, in life, to be ambitious. Also, to be able to control emotions, so you don't cause unnecessary conflict with other men, right? You can't just go out there and fight every single man out there if you have conflict. So you have to learn how to control emotions. So, but I want to ask you, Yamu, like, when you're teaching your son, do you tell him, hey, like, as a man, you can't be emotional, you don't let you control you can't be a bitch. Like, is that something that you explain to your son, or is there a different way you tell him how to be a man?
Well, so I mean, there was a time where I said, you know, and I this affected him a lot. I was like, that's some bitch shit. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. And when that was, and I hate that I said it, because it came back to me years later. He was like, you know, I mean, he misinterpreted everything that I said. You know, he thought I was, you know, attacking his, you know, his boyhood, because he was still a boy. And I was like, but I didn't understand, you know, there's a way that you need, or what I was really trying to say, because I didn't know how to say it, was you got to control your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, he wasn't, you know, acting like, you know, he wasn't doing like the way a girl would, or, you know, a typical girl would express her emotions. He was just being an emotional dude. Somebody said something to him and he's ready to fight. To me, that's emotional.
Yeah.
You have to be able to know how to handle that situation. And, you know, he, you know, some of the guys are bigger than him. So he don't care. He's ready to go. And I'm like, man, you have to use your brain first. So if you ready to fight everybody, boy, you're going to detention. You're going to get suspended.
Yeah.
Use your brain first. So to me, that's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I have to teach him, or at least express to him, because at some point it's like, I'm not teaching anymore. I'm just going to express the way that I know, because I don't even know if I'm teaching. Because like Sioshi said, like, am I teaching or not? Like, I can only give you what I got, because there's a limit to what I know. So I'm going to tell you all that I know, because I don't want you to go off on this other path. But stop doing that shit. I wish I would have not said don't be a bitch, because that you know, he misinterpreted what I said. What I really wanted to say was, stop being emotional. And emotional does not mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It's also the way that we end. Like I said, I've already said it. The way that we end up in jail, the way that we end up in prison, the way that we end up losing jobs.
Yeah.
You have to control that. Use your brain, and then plan out. If you have to go back home, and this is strategy. So that's why I say, I don't know about the whole alpha, beta, and all that. Go home and you strategize if you have to. People say that I'm smart. I don't feel like I'm smart. I go home. I squash my emotions if I can. I try to do it as much as I can. Go home and strategize. And then when I come back, I'm coming to you with a strategy. Depending on who you are. And I know I realize now a lot of people don't do that. But I thought everybody did that but that's the way that I was taught. You have to strategize. Then you go back to the situation and then you deal with it, but you have to stick to the plan. I thought everybody did that. So but that's what I got, and that's what I want to pass on to I passed it on to him, and I hope that eventually over time I'll get it out to other people as well, but we have to use our brain. So
what sounds like Will, that you had the right intention of teaching him. Is just the methodology of how you communicated, wasn't that was the way I'm assuming that was the way you were taught as by your own dad.
That's how it was told to me,
and what Siasi brought up is like sometimes the way our parents teach us isn't always the best method. And as the next generation, we have to be able to unlearn that, like what Siasi said, and figure out a better method that we can still teach the kids how to be a man, but at the same time not pushing our relationships with your son. All right, for sure. So thanks for sharing. And Savage, the same question. What's your response, Savage? So they talk about the emotions. Is there anything else you want to add to that besides emotions?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the opposite for me because my mom had to teach me. I didn't grow up with my dad until later, but I was the type of kid that get very emotional, and I would cry and I would cry and I would cry till the one day my mom got tired of it. I got my ass whooped by the neighborhood bully, and I'll never forget his name, Justin Saragota. And I came home crying, and my mom was just like, "What the hell are you crying about now?" She used to be supportive. She would, spoil me and condone a lot of the stuff I was doing. Until the one time, I got my ass whooped, and she just wouldn't let me. Like, it was one of those things where I wouldn't show my emotions in front of my bully, but I would come home and internalize at home. So she get tired of it. Eventually, it's like, you know what? We're going right down the street, and you're gonna fight him because you come and do all this talking at home. I was like, "Fuck!" And takes me, knocks on the door, and tells him, "Could you come out here? My son wants to talk to you." And it's on the spot now. There's nothing I can do. I can't back off. My mom just put me on the spot. So it's like, now you're gonna fight him, and if you get your ass whooped, I'm gonna whoop your ass. And if you whip his ass, I'm still going to whoop your ass. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to stop this crying shit. And, it's sometimes you got to learn lessons the hard way, because even if it wasn't the father there or the mother there to teach, there is definitely a limit to how much emotion as a man you should be showing. Will perfectly said it, misinterpretation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wasn't careful and, I'm in a different group of people who think, oh, man, this guy cries way too much, they probably would have whooped my ass too. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with being emotional, but I mean, it's just like Chelsea said it too. Put it in your pocket and be productive with it later, because it's not productive. You get there and sit there in your emotions and you're worrying about this play and you won't move on to the next. It doesn't help anything. You're not being progressive. You're complacent, if anything. You're just sitting there dwelling in the moment. And it's like, how the hell can you help us? What is your worth if you won't help yourself get over the fact that, yes, you fucked up, but at least realize it, use it later, and get moving already. So in a lot of ways, I thank my mom for ever since that life lesson, because since then, sometimes you gotta, if you're emotional on a big task and it just seems like it could be overwhelming, the best thing to do is not like, what they call in poker, bluff it.
Bluff, yeah.
Shit, you'll get caught, but fuck bluff, man. Bluff, because sometimes seeing too much of that could give the wrong idea, and dependability. Your stock goes down. Nobody wants to rely on you anymore. So That's as much as I.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. If all the young guys out there, I mean, for me, my personal experience is when you make decisions based on emotion, those decisions don't always end up well, right? That's one thing I've just noticed. That means you're reacting to the environment instead of just reacting based on how you on the decision making skills. So I think one of the best quotes I've ever heard was because all the is like all about release the beast. So I think that one of the best quotes was like, be a monster as a man, like be a monster, but to learn how to control that monster. If that makes sense. So be a fucking monster, be a beast in this world, be a monster, go and fucking conquer the fucking world, but learn how to control that. That's the key. All right. But fellas, I know we get into the end of the conclusion of the podcast. I want to bring up this topic. This is a topic that's been blowing up on my DMs. A lot of fellas, young men are asking. So a lot of fellas asking is, how do you attract women? Because I don't know if you guys know, in this generation, I was reading a study the other day. The rate of male virgin is like 3 times as high in 2021 compared to like 20 years ago. So there's a lot of guys out there, sexually inactive, virgins. They can't have sex. They're struggling to attract sex with the opposite female, and that's why you see a lot of these people on social media, like Will said, all these supposedly coaches, right? That's why they're making all these big bucks, all this money, because these guys out there just struggling with women. Nobody's ever had that. They never had that male presence, or there was nobody really taught them the skills. So, and I'm looking at these guys right here. You guys are all, you guys are all married. You guys you guys had your own experience also. So I want to ask you, all you guys, your experience, like, if there's a young man out there and struggling with sex, struggling with attracting women sexually, what does he have to do? Like, what does he have to do in order to increase his probabilities, but in a healthy way, right? Not in the toxic, alpha, I'm gonna fuck these bitches mentality. But like Will said, build relationships with women, right? Not put women down. So I guess I'll start off with Salsa, the guy right here with the 6-pack. And let me start off with the
That's all you need.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
You guys are hilarious, man.
How do you get it? How do you get it, Salsa? How do you get the women, man?
Let me tell you, all I can speak on is it's all of my experience, right?
Yeah.
There's such thing as connection. There's such thing as building a relationship beyond sex. There is such thing as building a relationship beyond sex. Now, getting to know somebody from the inside out before anything else is key. Like I just keep watching people that they're going from app to app, and it's a meat market. When you can take yourself off the meat market and you can just find somebody that you're willing to invest your time in. And what I mean is to build relationship, build connection, and make that work. Down the line, you figure it out. But if you don't spend the time and invest in getting to know somebody, there's nothing there for you. It's all about connection. It's all about what can we do together as a unit? What can we do that would allow us can we just hang out? Right? So you would have to walk in with an intention of building a relationship, not with the intention of like, I'm going to spend 2 weeks with you and you're going to give me some and walk away. Like the intention is all about your intention. What do you want to do with somebody? What would be the next 5 to 10 years with having a relationship with somebody? But truly building a relationship that matters, right? The kind of relationship that you want to go, wow, we did that in the last 2 hours. We did that. What would life be like for us at this moment if we continue being this way, being loving and giving and receiving to each other? What would that look like in the next 5 years? And creating something for the future. I have it that most kids these days aren't in the moment to build relationship. They're building a relationship for the next weekend. So you got to get away from I want it now to I want it later.
So I will ask you this because, like, I know you talk about relationships, but some of these guys can't even get to the relationship. They can't even get the attraction. So yeah, I want to speak on the attraction part. Like,
so it's a way to be.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you have to understand is like if you be an a-hole, you're gonna be receiving an a-hole. You get that? If you're walking around with confidence and you talk to people as if they're human beings, the words that come out of your mouth, what creates what's there for you at the moment. If you walk up to a morning, hey, what's up? Give me your numbers. They see you as that. Like when you can be authentic with people, you can just be with people, and in being authentic with people and just kind of hang out. Be just hanging out. Be not having an agenda. And the agenda is, I want to get in your pants. Not be that. Be, I want to hold your hand for 5 hours and put my arms around you for 5 hours and make it die. If you can be that, so it's a way of being around people. Because if you're being around with your sister and it's fun and you're having a great time, you're being around with your brother and you're being the same way, and you go out through life and you're being that way. You're being, loving and just being yourself. That's what attracts people. I have it is like, if you don't love yourself within enough, that love for yourself shows up that way. Your judgment disappears when you love yourself, because then you love yourself for who you are, and you love those outside for who you are from the inside out. So it's all about going back. What do I do for myself? How can I discover myself a new way of being that people see me and they can't recognize who I am? And you be loving, and you be vulnerable, and you be with people. Go back, just be with people. Start with, hi, I would like to get to know you. Like, are you available for, like, hang out in the, not in the bar, but hang out in the park for a few hours? Like, I want to get to know who you are.
Okay.
Those are the very fundamentals. You've got to go back to the fundamentals.
So Chelsea, let me paint you a picture for the modern day dating today. Chelsea, let me ask you a question. How tall are you?
I'm 6'2", 210 pounds.
Okay, all right.
That's my dream.
So you're part of the alpha group of what females want to have sex with her.
You see what I said? That's what I tell people. No. See, I have it. I'm only like 5'8", almost 5'9".
No, so
but the way I carry myself is a person of 6'2", 220 pounds.
You have confidence.
My confidence within myself and the words that come out of my mouth and the way that I'm being is what makes me whatever that is that people want to see.
So the reason why I brought that up, because in today's dating culture, I know you guys are married, but I'm here still trying to put the game in, but the market today for a lot of ladies, because of social media, is very superficial. So what I see, the women, they have this they want a guy that's 6 foot, makes money, good body. These are all the things that the women are looking for, right? And this I'm not saying all women, but this is because of social media. This is what they look for. And if you're an average guy that's not 6 foot, I think in America the average height of a guy is like 5'6", 5'7". If you're working an average job, if you don't have goals, if you're not ambitious, if you're not confident, so this is why there's a lot of these guys are struggling, and that's why those are things I talk about on my podcast, like certain things that they can do to improve their probability of attracting and competing out there with the other men as well. The 6 foot guy that's tall and ambitious and got something going on with their life. So clearly, all you guys. So let me ask you, like, what are things that they could do now? Like, could they work out? Could they read books? Like, what are things like? What, like, I'm asking you, like, what if a guy right now is just like a beginner? He wants to give him like the three tips, advice, of things he could do and start today. They'll increase his odds on being more sexually attractive. Like what would you say, Chelsea?
What would I say? 3 things. Go discover yourself. Stop making yourself wrong. You get that?
Okay.
Go discover yourself. Stop making yourself wrong, and be loving.
Be loving.
That's it. It's simple. It's not as complicated as people make it out to be.
Okay.
Right? Stop making yourself wrong. I'm not 6'2". Like, what the hell? Who does that? Right? Who the hell does that? I'm not 6'2", and I don't fit the whatever everybody wants me to be. Like, when you're confident with who you are, you're confident with who you are.
Facts.
And stop doubting yourself. It's that one thing, doubt. When you doubt yourself, and it shows up in the way that you are. It shows up the way you look at people, and it shows up in the way you keep your chin down, and it shows up the way you dress. Right? Like when you're being yourself, that when you self-doubt yourself, you walk in a different way. But when you have confidence about yourself, you strut a different way.
Mm.
A man that's confident, regardless of his 5'2" to 6'2", struts a different way.
Mm.
Like you guys seem really having me walk, sexy as hell. You got that? And it's not because of however tall it is. It's just the way that he feels about himself. He's done enough work for himself to discover who he is and who he's not, and he goes to go to work of who he wants to become.
Mm.
You strut with what empowers you.
Mm.
If you walk around with a gun that's empowerment for you, you're gonna walk around just the way that you walk around. And somebody's watching you from behind, constantly walking around, right?
Mm.
But if you walk around like the world is my playground, God, you're smiling, right? You're having conversation with people around you. You're loving on every woman and every man that's walking by. You're complimenting them for who they are, right? And you're constantly lifting people up. When you're that kind of person, you watch how things around you move. When you become loving to everybody else, you watch things start to move. And you may be the ugliest son of a gun in the room. But when you're being loved out here in life, that's attractive. See, what everybody's looking for in the social media is we want to fit this certain way, right? It's some fake ass BS. Really? If that's what you want, good luck finding that one. Right? Go find yourself a real man. He may be 5'2". Go find a real man that wants to show you what's inside of him, not the way he looks. Go figure that out. Let me love you for who you are. You can love me for who I am and who I'm not. Right? But it's having people take a look at themselves, stopping making themselves wrong about everything that they are and they're not. They are perfect who they are. It's like practicing that you are perfect in who you are. And be that to people. Be loving to people. Be vulnerable to people. It's only when you're going to show your vulnerability that people are attracted to who you are. Right?
Yeah.
Because when we're walking around pounding our chest, that's in the world of surviving. Who wants to be with somebody that's surviving all the time? Right? The masculinity part can only take you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think the biggest thing I took away from what you said, like the confidence, because one thing I realized from women, especially when with the type of man they're attracted to, like women love a guy that can provide and feel safe with them, that can provide and protect them. And if you're not confident, that's gonna deter a lot of women because they can't feel safe with you. How are you gonna expect women to have faith in you to be able to be the man of her life and protect you when you're not confident with your own life yourself? So that's the much. Thank you for sharing that. So let me go to, what I was gonna go to William, but I think William, you don't have trouble with this. So let me go to the guys that actually had to work. We had to work for
6'5", 220 pounds.
We had to work for our section. We had to work for our sexual
sexy,
attraction.
the man, the legend.
So I'm sorry, Will. We were just born, with the with the mojo. So
the mojo.
So let me ask Savage, and then we'll come back to Will. So Savage, what are your thoughts about guys out there struggling, virgins, struggling, struggling with women, can't get a attraction with women? Like, what can he do to be sexually attracted to women?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I definitely like to say thank you to Xiaoxi for saying that, because to hear that coming from an elder and mean it from the heart is not only authentic, but I didn't have to hear that from somebody else that's, it's coming off of a card or an advertisement or a promotion. Hey, buy one, get one free. That came from the heart, and I could not only tell that, but I could feel that. And before I say anything, this content is not suitable for the children under the age of 18. And sex is overrated, bro. It's overrated. You know what I'm saying? Like, the physical act of just intercourse is overrated. And I say that because I now know better. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, dude, man, if that's all you're looking forward to, I'll just tell you right now, you're only going to be there for 5 minutes and then you got to walk out the room and shit. And it's sad.
Bro,
because
5 minutes?
I lied. It was an hour.
That was a joke. Move on.
So if I could go back and tell that young man, try to match with a girl mind, body, and spirit on each level, meet her on every aspect. Why don't you sit there and listen to her goals and aspirations? Why don't you tell her yours? You know, why don't you tell her about your hopes and dreams of whether you want to go to the NFL or be in the movies or create programs for people who want to better themselves? Why don't you tell her, back when you were 13, you had doubts as making it in life, and you had suicidal thoughts. Why don't you open up about stuff? Like, I wish nothing wrong with that. I'm 32 years old now, and the only thing I'm mindful about is my son. It's just, and of course my daughter, but more specifically my son, is the idea of, being yourself. You will find yourself. And what I mean by that, you will match somebody who will match you. The other day, my wife told me she wants to start a rugby team because she's tired of all the men out here coaching. That shit turned me on. It's the weirdest thing. But like, it turned me on because she had a goal to it. She's like, I'm just, I want to get these young girls. I want to recruit them, and I want to get them out to tryouts. And I was like, damn, like, that's weird. Like, I don't know why that power, that empowerment coming out of you, just hearing that. But if I wouldn't think like that, because nobody would tell me, that's not wrong to think that way. But if young men who are listening now, there's nothing wrong with your home. If you're going to be out there, please stay, wrap it up. But that's not what it's all about. That is not what it's all about. If there's somebody in your circle who's telling you, catch some bodies, catch all the bodies, get all the bodies you want, and stack up the numbers, it's going to be a very lonely time when you realize there's no one there to talk to you. There's no one there to back you up. No one there to share their hopes and dreams with you, because sex is, like I said, it's 5 minutes to an hour. And at that best. But if that girl no interest in you after, then what the hell were you doing that for? Well, just to tell the boys, I did it. And then what happens when you're 25? What happens when you're 26? What happens when you're 27? They're just war stories, right? You share the battle scars, and that's what it is. Yeah, I did all that, and then what happened? Well, I live with, I got I play games and stuff. Oh, so you have all the body counts. You did nothing. That didn't help you make you a better person. That didn't help you to do something with your life. I see. Okay, well, that's the case. I wish you the best of luck with that, because if you're still spreading that kind of knowledge to young men, thinking that's okay to, rack them up and it's okay to be that way, man, you're very limited. You're very one-minded. You're very one-dimensional. You only see down a narrow hallway, and that limits the next generation. I think Shausi said it earlier about being mindful. Like, I heard a saying, but he reminded me when he said it about being mindful. Come out the generation, be the next leaders. Be careful how we plant our seeds. You know what I'm saying? Very mindful, very careful how we plant our seeds, because if I'm going to hypersexualize a woman in front of my son, he doesn't have much to look forward to in the future. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about that.
All right, man. That Malo Savage, thank you. I think somebody on the chat said 5 minutes. It was a woman. She was like, "Man, that's a record."
For life.
You could have said 5.5, bro, because he's the half.
All right.
Here we go.
All right. And last but not least, all right, everybody take out your notepads. Everybody will ask the real
legends in the house.
Man, I mean, they said everything already. So, I mean, for me, well, as soon as, listen, I don't care. So I know a lot of stud dudes, like they had all, they're pro athletes and they do all this and do all that. And everybody said the same thing, including myself. When you focus on that, then it doesn't really come to you like that. When you focus on yourself, and that's why I say they already said everything. You focus on yourself, you're not tripping off of nothing else. You're just going for your own thing. All of a sudden, even when I don't want it, it's like they're almost like distractions. Because, like, man, as soon as I stop trying to focus on how do I get this girl, as soon as I focus on myself, here you come. So if that's the question, how do you attract women? Focus on yourself. That's what. Chelsea said that. Henry said. Savage said that. Focus on yourself. And so that's one thing. And then another thing, and I think Chelsea said this. if you uplift people with genuinely, so you walk around and you see, oh, I like your shoes, keep going. You don't have to shoot your shot. You're not shooting your shot. I genuinely like your shoes because I see you took your time to do that. Whatever it is, I don't know. You took your time to do your hair. Keep moving. Don't sit around and try to holler at her or whatever, or shoot your shot. Just I guess it would be seen as a compliment, but in your head, you're uplifting people, and Chelsea said that already. You just uplift people everywhere you go. You find the good in them. We find the good and the bad in people all day. I can go down my list. I have a whole bunch of messages that I didn't read because you read a little bit of it, and I already know you're talking shit about me. I'm not gonna read that. So, but there's the same energy it took to do that. You could find something good to say about somebody. And if you see somebody in real life, if you're trying to attract people, if that's what you want to do, I'm not trying to do that because that would bring trouble to me. But if you're trying to attract people, the way that I do it without trying is just you uplift people. As Chelsea said that, you just walk around and I see the good in you, man. I like the way, and it don't have to be. It's everybody. You're not discriminate about. Oh, I'm just gonna do it to women because it's obvious you're doing it to women because you want some ass. I'm telling everybody. Man, I like your car. Man, how did you do that? How you do this? You just want. Everybody does something to be noticed or to do something to. And then if you can recognize that, man, do you know how that one word will carry somebody? Yep. And they'll go around and they'll say, man, or they'll tweet about it or they'll post about it and they'll say, man, somebody said something to me. They just have a great day. They had a great day because of you, because of what you 100%. Said. So I'm married. I don't care about none of that. So, but it's like how good does it feel to say that? Now think about this. If you're single and you did that, don't weaponize it. But I'm saying, if you were single and you walked around and you just uplifted everybody, man, you're gonna have a lot of 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? That's if you want. If that's what. But don't weaponize it. I'm just saying, do it from your heart. Yeah. Be genuine about it. Just uplift people and focus on yourself. You don't have to. Everything else will come to you. So, and I don't care how you look, because I know guys, I'm 5'10", 200 pounds. That's not, I don't meet the goal, but it's still like, I don't have any problems. As soon as I focus on myself, I didn't have any problems. When I was younger, I was buffer and I was, I had more hair and, I was able to do more things. I still had the problems because my mind wasn't there. So just focus on you, and then, uplift everybody else. And then, all of those things will come. Just do that. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
Beautiful. Let me throw in something that I learned when I was younger.
Yep.
I think I was like maybe 23, 24. What I got for myself, I had this partner when I was still being a PI, I had this partner that taught me everything. And I think what he said to me, what I got from watching him, if I can make some woman, if there's 100 people in the room, if I can make one woman feel safe and that she's the only one that matters, and that she's the only one that exists in that room, imagine what could happen. Imagine what would happen if that lady got it, or that one individual, and your attention is yours, and you're being in the moment with her constantly, and she feels like she's $1 million. Imagine what could happen from there on. You give your undivided attention, right? And you're just being with her, and if she feels like $1 million, you think she's going to give you back $1 million? Take a look, right? Be with people. Be with people.
All right. Thank you. And William, one of my followers just DM'd me. She said that she wants to be uplifted. I don't know what that means, but
well, if I saw her, I pick something out. Like I said, You just see,
remember,
I you compliment.
I only talk to people that are 180 and above. 180 pounds, I'm not talking.
All right. So yeah. We a lot of uplifting to do, fellas. A lot of uplifting to do.
That's awesome.
All right, no worries. Yeah, fellas, we have come to the conclusion of the podcast. Thank you so much for being on here. And everybody that's watching, everybody that tuned in, everybody that dropped a comment and showed some love and support. Thank you guys so much. But the fellas, I guess in closing, can you just tell everybody how to find you? Because I want to make sure I utilize my platform for you guys. So everybody that's watching this, if they want to find you and follow you guys, definitely follow all my brothers right here and support them on their channels as well. Just tell everybody how they can find you, and also what's your takeaway from tonight's podcast, and what's one thing you could leave with everybody that's watching, especially the young men out there. And I'll start with Xiaoxi. Go ahead, Xiaoxi. How can they find you? And what's your thought on the podcast, and what do you want to leave for all the young men out there?
Awesome. You can reach me at Ramana Fit on Instagram, RAWMANA in the word fit, Ramana Fit, or you can find Xiaoxi Weimao. Here's what I took away today. First of all, I want to acknowledge all of you guys for having the courage to step up and have this type of conversation. I have it that this type of conversation doesn't get to happen very often, and it's much needed. And I say that with all of my being and all my heart. This is the kind of conversation that needs to be had every day in life, and having ourselves discover, having the children around us, have them discover something new for themselves. And so they don't end up like the way we do. They can do something different for themselves. And I truly got empowered with the conversation. Like William, with everything that you have said tonight. Like you're very authentic with the way that you are. And Savage, it's unbelievable. I love the energy that you bring forth and your truth and owning up to what it is, whatever that is for you, right? I love that. I love that about men that can get into a room and agree to disagree, or just to be able to have a conversation. I have it that this is the beginning for young Polynesian and their peers to start having this type of powerful conversations that then they can walk away with something powerful. And Will, this is your doing. This is you're the stand for this. This is I give you all the props and having the courage to constantly have this conversation.
All you guys, man.
So thank you to all of you guys for being here for that conversation. And whether it was tough or not, it was so much fun. I got a blast. It was so much fun. I wish we just keep going and going. But thank you all for that.
All right. We can't keep going 5 minutes. No, it's the limit. All right. Savage, same thing. How can they find you? What did you take away from the podcast, and what do you want to leave for all the young men out there?
I think I said my handles in the beginning of the episode. I mean, if it really matters, anything I said really matters, you'll find me. You'll do your research, you'll do your studies, and you'll find me. I truly believe in the alignment of the mind, body, and the spirit, and you will attract what you put out. If there's anything I could say to you young men that are watching this, or who will watch this 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, if you align your mind, body, and spirit, what I mean by that is spiritually, right? Pray, open your mouth, say it out loud, speak it into the universe, speak life, use that power that you have, manifest it. Physically, take care of your nutrition, work out, get some sleep, be mindful of who you hang around with, and be mindful of who you uplift. And then, this is really hard, but the mental health of our men, puzzles, read a book, have a conversation of a different perspective, talk to somebody different that you don't normally talk to. These things are very important to uphold. And if you hear it from me, if it looks like us, if it sounds like us, if it feels like us, it's authentic. It's coming from your people. I think that's progression within of itself. I'd like to thank you, Will. I'd like to thank you, Williamu. I'd like to thank you, Xiaoxi, because this is definitely the turn in which our culture needs. Because like I said, 5, 10 years, 15 years from now, I hope these words resonate how they do today, later on in the future. So with that being said, thank you guys very much. I pray protect above all else. God bless. Thank you.
All right, malo. And last but not least, same thing, Williamu. How can they find you? What's your take on this podcast? And something you want to leave for all the young men out there?
So I'm on Instagram if you just want to learn the Samoan language. The way that I teach it, it would be AMU USO Amuuso, and on or you could just Google Matou MATOU and Samoa, and a lot of stuff will come up. And then I'm on TikTok. I speak about kind of stuff like stuff along these lines. Williamu Fanene, you could look that up. And or I think you could, if you type Amuuso, it'll still come up. But I guess what I took from here, I really appreciate the conversation. And I haven't went through all of my messages yet because, like I said, when people were getting us confused because I was on your podcast before, and they were like, "How could you say this?" and "How could you?" I was like, "What are y'all talking about?" I didn't say nothing. What are you talking about? So I had to go back and look and see, I was like, oh wow, okay, they think I said. So I didn't really, me personally, I spend 15 minutes on social media a day because I'm looking for content to speak about. I'll reply. Savage always, he's the first one, every time, it's him, and then there's a few other Coconut Queen, and there's some other ones that come up, and then after that I'm out, but so when I saw your stuff, I had all of these messages talking basically about you. I mean, they went in on it. It was like, pull your mask up. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? I mean, they were going in on you. And I was like, okay, y'all got us mixed up. So I made a whole post and I said, we can have differences of opinion. I don't have problems with dude. I was on there.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be able to at least listen to what they're saying. But what I will say to you, and I said to you on the phone before, a few days ago, I was like, when you're creating content, you still got to get people to come in. I mean, at the bottom line is the business.
Yeah.
So, when I very first heard the stuff you were saying, I was like, oh man, this dude was tripping. But then when I listened to a few minutes of it, I was like, okay, well, I get what he's saying. But, as you do the clickbait thing to get people in there, and then, but so I get the whole thing. Long story short, I get it. But the dialogue is still necessary. You know what I'm saying? So, and it doesn't matter if you were talking all the way left or all the way right. We don't have that much representation in the Pacifica community. Throughout all the Pacific Islands. So for somebody like you to have the consistency, that's what we need. To me, I see success. If you keep doing what you're doing, it's success, and a lot of you're representing. But I do understand the frustration that people they bring to you because they have those first few bites. But what I will encourage people to say is to do is like, go beyond the first few bites and then actually, engage in the conversation so that you can tap into their minds, because there's people that, like we grew up. I made mistakes and I said stuff to my son that I regret, and maybe these are things that you're saying now, or maybe, you said it in the past or whatever. But these are things that if they learn about it, on the opposite end, like, okay, well, this is how I can correct, because it doesn't stop. It hasn't stopped. So if you learn about it, just by coming in and having this healthy dialogue, then you'll be able to know how to deal with your situation. Because I can go on and on about that, but I do appreciate the dialogue. I do appreciate your invite, and do appreciate actually meeting these brothers here today. And
and the last thing you want to leave out there for all the men out there, last thing you want to leave with them, all the young men.
Just find yourself. And Chelsea said that. Find yourself. I've been going through this thing, and it's still to this day. I made this post maybe 2 months ago about gangbanging and all of that. And how, you have your own culture, whether you're from Tonga or you're from Samoa or Fiji or Hawaii. You have your own stuff. And coming from someone who when I became 18, 19, and start learning about my African American culture, like African Americans had to recreate all of this stuff. We cannot find, you know, what village, you know, we come from. But on my Samoan side, I know exactly where the village is at. I can go there right now. Do you know that's mind blowing? So for me to be in the middle and know that I can go over here and go to the village, where over here is like that, it doesn't exist anymore because somebody erased it. Why would you want to be a gangbanger? Why would you want to kill your brother? Why would I want to kill you? There's no reason for that. So, you know, I have all of these people defending it from New Zealand and Australia and Utah. Like, what? You're a gangster in Utah. You know, I mean, there's things that I just do not understand. And like, you know, because I have these different experiences, I mean, they're very, you know, they contrast, but all I want to say to the young guys is learn yourself, learn where you come from, because you have it a lot better than a lot of other people. And I know because I'm on both sides, and I see the people who are like, I really wish I knew. I could take a DNA, or what do you call that, 23andMe, and I'm not gonna get the truth. You can go to your village right now, and then, you know, that means a lot. And you know, even with me saying that, I feel like people are not gonna understand it, and they'll still come on and call me this and call me that. I don't, you know. Long story short, know yourself. And I think I said that from the time I logged on. Figure yourself out, and everything else is gonna come to you.
All right, no worries, fellas. Thank you so much. Definitely follow all these guys, all these gentlemen on their platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the lady, the super chat donation. Much love to you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. Fellas, I'm about to stop the live. I'm gonna talk to you guys right after. Give me 1 second. Let me just